Have you ever tried to work with a Kubernetes YAML file only to be met with confusing errors? It can be incredibly frustrating, right? If that's you, then you're in the right place. Today, we're going to tackle how to deserialize a Kubernetes YAML file into a Go struct. I totally understand how annoying it is when you encounter errors like no kind deployment is registered for version apps v1 beta 1. You're not alone in this struggle. Many developers face similar issues when working with Kubernetes. Here's the specific situation we're looking at. One user recently asked, how can I deserialize a Kubernetes YAML file into a Go struct? They provided a minimal working example, but ran into errors. Sound familiar? Let's dig into this together and find a solution. So what could be causing this issue? The error often arises from using an outdated API version or not having the correct types registered in your client Go library. We'll break it down step by step so you can understand what's going on. And don't go anywhere. I've got a crucial tip at the end that will help you avoid these errors in the future. To resolve the issue with deserializing the Kubernetes YAML file, the user should first ensure they are using the correct API version. The error indicates that the kind deployment is not registered for the version apps/v1 beta 1. Next, the user should update their Go code to use the appropriate decoder. The universal decoder is a good choice, but it needs to be configured correctly to recognize the updated API version. After updating the API version and the decoder, the user should test the deserialization process again. This will help confirm if the changes resolve the issue. If the user encounters similar errors with other resource types, they should verify the API versions for those resources as well. Each resource type may have different supported versions. Finally, the user can refer to the Kubernetes documentation for the latest API versions and resource types. This will help them stay updated and avoid similar issues in the future. Did you know? Kubernetes was originally designed by Google, and it has grown to become one of the most popular container orchestration platforms in the world. It's amazing how far we've come. Now, let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative solution provided by another user suggests that to successfully deserialize a Kubernetes YAML file, you need to import specific packages. They recommend importing k8s.io/client-go/APIs extensions install to ensure the schema is not empty. The user also provides a complete working example showing how to set up your Go environment and run the code. They emphasize that importing the correct packages allows you to use objects in version 1, like pods or services. Now, let's see a response from a different user. An alternative approach shared by another user involves using the Kubernetes API machinery's YAML utility to decode deployment and service manifests. They suggest importing the necessary packages and creating a new YAML decoder. This decoder reads the manifest and decodes it into a deployment struct. That's all for that response. Let's see what someone else had to say. An alternative approach to deserializing a Kubernetes YAML file involves using the YAML serializer from the Kubernetes API. This method allows you to decode the YAML directly into a specific Go struct. In this example, the user defines a function called parseYAML2 that takes a YAML byte array and decodes it into an application struct from the Argo CD API. Here's the crucial tip I promised. Always keep your client Go library updated and refer to the official Kubernetes documentation for the latest API versions. This will save you a lot of headaches. And there you have it. You should now be able to deserialize your Kubernetes YAML files without any issues. Remember, keeping your libraries updated is key. If you found this helpful, hit the subscribe button for more tips, and don't miss our next video on advanced Kubernetes troubleshooting.